Alright, let's pick up right where we left off in the last video. Sato and the group keep trudging through the dungeon, taking down monsters left and right, even leveling up bit by bit. After a much-needed breather and chow break, they crash for the night. Then it's back on the road for more adventuring. Sato comes up with this plan where Pochi and Tama chuck stones to distract the monster while he swoops in for the kill. They breeze through most of the obstacles without a scratch. But one time while hunting, Pochi freaked out and ran away, result in Sato to fetch her. After getting some grub, they have a shut-eye for a while before continuing their adventure. Next up, they tackle more caterpillar, rats and frog monsters, while discovering new places. And get this, the demi-humans handle those frog monsters all on their own, no help needed from Sato. Lisa's got a bright idea to cook up some frog meat, and Sato's all for it. They dig in and it was not half bad. Sato realized their levels goes up even more as they continued the journey. They press on and bump into a slime monster. Sato tries to zap it with magic flames, but no dice. Lisa steps up, schooling M on slime slaying 101, aim for the core. She takes it down like a boss, all by herself. But wait, there's trouble brewing. A level 40 beast is on the prowl, ready to pounce. Sato spots a trap room nearby, so he tosses the beast into it, leaving it to fall down the void. After mopping up that mess, they stumble into a room covered in cobwebs, with folks stuck in M. Looks like they've got some rescuing to do. Sato rounds up Lisa, Tama, and Pochi and tells M to free the humans caught in those cobwebs. Turns out, these folks are loaded and promise a fat reward once they're out of this crazy maze. But Pochi's getting an earful from one of the guys she's trying to save. Dude's not keen on being rescued by a demi-human. Sato steps in, but when the guy sees him, he starts yelling for help. Sato's not having it, though, and tells him to quit whining and save himself. The guy won't let up, annoyed by him, this dude Jim Bolton, who threatens to roast him if he doesn't pipe down. They keep on trekking through the maze, and suddenly, they hear a ruckus up ahead. Sato tells Jim and the crew that they're diving into battle. They charge in and find a bunch of slime monsters going to town on some soldiers. Sato and the gang jump into action, but the dude from before tries to play hero and just ends up freaking out when the slime monsters come at him. Thankfully, Tama and Pochi swoop in to save the day, Lisa finishing off the monsters. Sato lays the smackdown on one last monster and frees Xena, who was caught up in the chaos. She meets the demi-humans and thanks M for lending a hand. After the slime showdown, they brainstorm their way out of this dungeon mess. Sato's got this feeling that something's fishy with one part of the walls. He checks the map and there's a sneaky hidden door behind it. Turns out, it leads to the room above where he tossed that monster earlier. Meanwhile, one of the soldiers found a treasure chest. But guess what pops out when they crack it open? Yep, it's the demon that threw M into this dungeon in the first place. Sato's itching to join the fray, but he's gotta keep a low profile. Demon cast a spell, turning each human against each other, giving the soldiers a run for their money. But finally, Sato figure out a way to step in without making ruckus. He uses a monster as a cover-up to dash into the next room, whips out the holy sword he snagged earlier. Then, he throws on the dragon mask and wig he bought, ready to kick butt incognito. Upon re-entering to battle, he throws rocks at Demon, dealing heavy damage. Upstairs, he's hot on the demon's tail. But before it bites the dust, the demon spills the beans about some crazy summoning ritual. A magic circle appears, summoning the Demon King that chomps down on the one that called it. Sato swoops in to save the day, put aside other people and gearing up to take down this mega demon. But, turns out the holy sword ain't cutting it cause he doesn't have the hero title yet. Time to switch gears and bust out the magical gun, but even that's not enough to put a dent in this bad boy. So, Sato's throwing everything he got at this demon, but it just won't go down. He busts out a fireball and hurls it at the demon with all his might, but even that doesn't do the trick. He keeps charging forward, unleashing a barrage of fiery attacks, but it's like this demon's made of steel. Sato knows he's gotta pull out all the stops if he wants to take this sucker down for good. But here's the kicker, the holy sword he's got. It'll only work at full power if you've got the title of hero. And Sato? Well, he's not quite there yet. But then it hits him. He's got another title up his sleeve. He whips out the sword, channeling his inner god slayer vibes, and bam, he sends that giant demon king packing once and for all. Fast forward to the next day, and everyone's back safe and sound. Sato's reunited with his crew, including that arrogant dude who's finally eating some humble pie and thanking them for saving his hide. Even Xena shows up, giving Sato a big ol' hug cause he made it out in one piece. Then he got the hero title, but it was little too late though. Later, when the 3 demi-humans head to the slave trader, they officially become Sato's crew. But here's where things get interesting. Sato's offered 2 more slaves, Lulu and Arisa. And get this, Arisa knows how to say Sato's name without batting an eyelash. Turns out, Arisa's got a secret. She understands Japanese. So, without missing a beat, Sato scoops up both Lulu and Arisa. He round up Arisa and Lulu and introduce M to the gang. Lucky for them, they're all cool with demi-humans. Arisa even hits it off with Pochi and Tama, which is a relief. Afterwards, they all take a stroll around town. Sato got questions burning a hole in his brain about Arisa's Japanese skills, but with other folks milling about, he decide to hold off. Instead, he invite everyone to grab a bite to eat. Pochi and Tama are all about that meat life, while Lisa's down for anything as long as it's chicken. Arisa and Lulu, well, they've had their fair share of bland meals, so they're game for whatever. They all head to a restaurant and feast like kings. They chow down till they can't move, while Sato slip away to do some shopping. He snags some new threads for the crew and extra chicken skewers for Lisa, who's got a hankering. On his way back, Sato spots some hungry demi-humans and share the chicken with them. Back at the restaurant, he hands out the new clothes and then head to the inn. Martha's mom got a room ready for Sato, but there's a hitch, other rooms already packed. Everyone in the dining room staring with hatred toward demi-humans, but Arisa steps up and shuts that down. Sato asks if there's a place for the gang to crash, and Martha's mom suggests the stable. So, Lisa and others all head to the stable, toss a blanket over the barn for some comfort. Sato lays down some ground rules to make sure everyone feels safe. He tells M if anyone bothers M, they're supposed to yell for him, no violence needed. He promises he'll come to their rescue. Back in his room with Lulu and Arisa, he goes to change, but before he knows it, they're offering to lend a hand. He'd politely decline. Once he's done changing, he turns around to find M in their birthday suits. Turns out, it's part of their duty to serve their master at night. Sato's not down with that. So, he covers M up with a blanket and tells M to hit the hay. As he's drifting off to sleep, he's startled awake to find Arisa all up in his personal space. He's kinda caught off guard, but he manages to keep his cool. He gives her a hug and lays down the law, reminding her not to use any magic on him cause, well, it's just not cool. He realizes she's been sneaking in some magic tricks here and there, like that time she shut down all those gawkers at the inn. He presses her to spill the beans, and she comes clean. Turns out, she's head over heels for him, like, from day one, and finding out he's not interested in their nighttime services stung a bit. So, she tried to cozy up to him, hoping to cast a little spell of her own. Oh, and surprise, she spills the beans that she's actually Takibana Arisa, a fellow Japanese soul who got reincarnated into this crazy world. Arisa starts digging, asking Sato if he's a fellow reincarnation like her. But when she clocks his appearance hasn't changed, she jumps to a wild conclusion. He's been summoned here as a hero. Sato's mind is officially blown. Then, Arisa drops the bombshell that he's the second Japanese person she's come across. Sato's wheels are spinning, thinking maybe Lulu's from Japan too, but nope, turns out her old man is. As Sato replays his arrival in his head, he remembers morphing into a younger version of himself. Arisa keeps firing off questions, like if he met any gods or stumbled upon a magic circle. Sato's drawing blanks. He's pretty sure he landed in this world solo, without any fancy rituals or celestial meet and greets. All this head scratching leaves him more baffled than ever, so he calls it a night, hoping some shut-eye will clear things up. But come morning, Xena crashes the party and finds him snoozing with Arisa and Lulu. Angered, Xena dashes off. Sato rushes to clear up the misunderstanding. He scrambles to explain, but Xena's not buying it. Lilio, her friend, has mentioned that some dude buys slaves for wild nights. Sato sets the record straight, though. He snagged them for some extra hands, not for nighttime stuff. After a bit of back and forth, Xena finally buys it. Sato showered her with compliments about her dress and scarf, hoping to escape this situation. Then, Arisa saunters over, playing it cool. But Sato ain't fooled. He throws a flick on her forehead and tells her to round up the crew. Once she's out of earshot, he mulls over their chat last night. Turns out, she's got a crazy backstory. Used to be a big shot princess until her plans tanked and her kingdom got wrecked. Talk about a rough ride. She and Lulu barely dodged death and wound up in the slave game. Now, they're rolling with Lisa, Tama, and Pochi. When they dip out to grab supplies, Sato slides them some cash and greenlights Arisa's magic tricks. Xena clocks the crew leaving all smiles, noting how they're settling in just fine. Sato's like, I don't treat them like slaves but as family. He wants their lives to improve. So, he hits up with Xena to house hunt. They check out 3 spots with the help of Nadi. First one's chill but the last owner got taken out. Nope, pass. Next house? Great, but it's right by a brothel. Awkward. Third one? Underground crime hub. Yikes. Back to square one. They bounce back to the agency, and the agent's on the case for another spot. In the meantime, they catch a stage drama about a couple who was in love but a noble got involved in killing the guy. But he comes back as undead only to get stabbed by a hero. The girl also takes her own life at the end. After the drama, gang's craving meat, so Sato sends Lisa on a mission. She's pumped and takes Pochi and Tama along. On the way, Sato and Xena run into Iona and his crew. They've been battling these gnarly fang ants. Some of those buggers dipped into the city. Pochi and Tama show up hauling a giant ant, and Sato's spider sense is tingling. More ants are on the way. He tells Lisa and the gang to gear up and hold the fort. Predictably, a swarm of ants storms the city. Luckily, most get blocked from the Arisa's barrier, but some slip through. It's game on in the streets. Pochi and Tama are on monster patrol, saving the inn from a close call. But one sneaks into Nadi's spot. Sato rushes over, lays the smackdown, but dang, there's poison blocking the stairs. Good thing the elf Usaratoya, with his magic mojo, rescues Nadi. Intros all around, then Sato's back to the square, seeing the ant army's toast. Night falls, and he's cruising alleys. More monsters. He shows them who's boss, then spots injured folks nearby. Quick thinking, he takes them to Nadi's place, thinking Usaratoya might know the elf girl. Alright, that concludes the second part of this recap series. Stay with my channel for the rest.